Welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're going to unpack the fascinating, totally invisible machinery that connects real-time data to our digital reality. You know, every single day, we see headlines about the latest public opinion surveys, but what we rarely see is the massive digital tectonic shift that happens the exact second that data actually hits the internet.
So think about it. What really happens to the internet the exact moment a political poll drops? Most of us just see a snapshot of public opinion, right? Maybe it's a quick headline or a push notification on your phone. But let's dive into this, because it actually triggers a massive algorithmic chain reaction. When a poll drops, it doesn't just inform people. It instantly feeds into this vast, complex ecosystem of search algorithms, social media platforms, and digital knowledge graphs that literally reshape what information is visible to the entire world.
Here is how we're going to break this all down. First, the real-time sentiment shift. Second, altering search engine algorithms. Third, building trust through methodology. Fourth, shaping the digital narrative. And finally, mastering stakeholder engagement.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the real-time sentiment shift.
Now, when we talk about sentiment in the modern digital age, we're not just talking about, reading a room. We're talking about feeding hard quantitative variables into predictive models. We're looking at structured timestamp measurements. It is a continuous pulse. Institutions and campaigns aren't just looking at who likes a specific policy anymore. They are looking at aggregated outputs from social listening, automated sentiment classification, and search trend analysis. And this is happening second by second. Mechanistically, artificial intelligence takes 4 raw signals to figure this out. We've got social mentions, quick-turn polling, search query volume, and engagement rates. The AI maps those to really complex topic taxonomies to produce actionable sentiment scores. Imagine a giant dashboard just lighting up. A poll drops, and immediately AI evaluates the mentions, it maps Facebook engagement, and it cross-references Google search trends. It's essentially translating human attitudes into quantified variables like approval scores and issue salience indices.
Which brings us to Section 2. Altering search engine algorithms.
So here is how that data actually alters the web. It's really a living, breathing communication flow. Step 1, an institution releases new polling data. Instantly, in Step 2, the media amplifies it. Newsrooms generate coverage, journalists are tweeting about it. Honestly, think of it like a swarm of bees reacting to a newly bloomed flower. This totally forces search engines in Step 3 to pay immediate attention. They have to crawl and index this flood of fresh content. And finally, Step 4, the public perceives the newly shaped narrative right through their screens.
And the impact on search behavior? It's immediate. When polling produces new data, publishers generate coverage, which spikes query volume and inbound link velocity instantly. Before the poll drops, search volume for a specific topic might just be a quiet trickle. But the exact moment those survey results hit the media ecosystem, the search volume skyrockets. People are looking for context, they want the raw numbers, and they're looking for analysis.
Because of that huge, sudden spike, search algorithms are literally forced to wake up and reevaluate what they consider fresh and relevant. They elevate the search engine results page, or SERP, placement of pages that are tied to that current poll data. This means pages connected to the new data get a sort of transient indexing priority. Campaigns and public affairs teams that ignore this brief, explosive window are losing a completely vital opportunity to correct misperceptions and maintain narrative control.
Moving right along to Section 3, building trust through methodology.
You see, it's not just about the volume of the data. It's absolutely about the quality. Search engines don't just blindly read the news. They parse a really complex web of signals to calculate an entity-level credibility score. Algorithms look at provenance, like who's sponsoring the poll and what's their methodology. They look at metadata, like the domain authority of the publisher and the citation patterns. And they also look at behavioral metrics, meaning how are real users acting? Are they clicking through? Are they actually spending time reading the page, which is known as dwell time?
To put it simply, the way a poll is conducted directly dictates its digital authority. High-quality polling that uses a transparent methodology, clear sampling frames, and explicit margins of error generates incredibly positive credibility signals. This earns reliable backlinks and authoritative citations. On the flip side, low-quality polling with opaque collection methods actively increases perceived uncertainty. It degrades reputation signals, reduces stakeholder trust, and essentially tells the search engine, hey, don't rank this highly.
All right, Section 4, shaping the digital narrative.
A digital footprint is way more than just a list of links. It's a structural trace of evidence left across the entire web. Every single component, from the raw datasets and official release pages to the subsequent media mentions and backlink networks,
acts as a new node in the content ecosystem. Algorithms are constantly crawling and indexing this footprint. A consistent, highly transparent footprint builds dense, high-quality networks that massively increase search visibility.
Once that footprint is crawled, it forms a narrative. And narratives supply the causal frames and sentiment anchors that actually shape how downstream users interpret the data. By establishing a dense, high-quality digital footprint, an institution dictates the thematic indexes that search systems use to cluster topics around them. If an entity's footprint is fragmented, or worse, contradictory, it creates attribution confusion. It leaves these glaring gaps that competing narratives are going to quickly exploit.
And finally, Section 5, Mastering Stakeholder Engagement.
Ultimately, there is a human element to all of this. Search algorithms are incredibly adept at recognizing authentic signaling behaviors versus fake ones. Authentic engagement, things like expert-driven clicks, meaningful policy discussions in the comments, and people actually spending time on a page, that strengthens digital authority. But manipulative engagement, things like coordinated bot activity or low-quality link spam, that triggers immediate algorithmic demotion. Genuine community interaction will always outweigh artificial metric inflation purely because algorithms are specifically designed to penalize the fakes.
There's a quote straight from our source material that I absolutely love because it hits the nail on the head regarding why this complex digital architecture actually matters. It says that by integrating real-time sentiment data, campaigns convert latent risk into operational decisions. Public affairs and digital advocacy aren't just about sending out press releases anymore. By understanding how ecosystems index narratives, practitioners can evaluate perception risks the exact moment a poll drops. They can pivot operationally, shifting communication resources exactly where they need to be to preserve their digital authority.
So, the absolutely crucial takeaway is this. We live in a world where data doesn't just sit in a spreadsheet anymore. It actively rewrites the digital landscape in real time. So, are you actively structuring your digital footprint to guide the algorithms, or are you letting the algorithms dictate your narrative? Take a hard look at your own real-time sentiment integration. Because in this hyper-connected ecosystem, if you aren't intentionally shaping the data with transparent methodology and authentic engagement, the data and the algorithms that process it are absolutely shaping you. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll leave you to think on that.